Welcome to the Empower Hour, guys. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. I am here with Julie Ha. I feel so weird saying that because she definitely doesn't look like a ha, 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 ha. But we definitely laugh a lot and have a good time, so like we will today. Julie's a runner. She just moved back home. She went to Austin for a little bit with her husband, and now they moved back, and she's getting back in the running community, and I wanted to interview her today because she's one of the only women I know, actually the only woman that I know that completed the Heart 100. So,
yay!
Yeah, she has a very diverse background, and we'll just dive into that. Okay. So you want to tell us who you are? And
Yeah. My name is Julie Ha. I just moved back here from Austin, Texas. I was in Austin for about 4 years, and prior to that in Hawaii for about 12. So it's nice to be back.
welcome back.
Thank you. Transferred to work at Lululemon now that I'm here.
That's how I met her. She just showed up at the store one day, and I was like, who is this little ball of energy? And she's so much fun.
Yay!
Yeah.
And my husband's originally from here, so it's nice to move back and be closer to family and friends. So.
And before this, like, where did you grow up?
Oh, I grew up in Boston. I'm originally from Medford, just outside of Boston, about 2 miles north of the city. Left there, I was probably about 19 when I moved here to go to UH, so.
Oh, did you run for UH?
I didn't. They actually didn't have a track team. That's how old I am. They didn't have a track team when I was there.
Stop it.
Yeah. So it was a long time ago.
But you're a long distance runner, and how did you get into that?
When I was 18, I decided that I wanted to train for a marathon. Ultimately, Boston, which you have to qualify for. So I bought a book, and it had schedules kind of posted in it, and decided that I would just follow it and do the best that I could. And then moved here to Honolulu and signed up for the marathon here because you don't have to qualify. So.
And how was that? How was your first marathon?
It was awesome. I think I did like a 4:10.
You did pretty good.
Marathon. Yeah, I was so stoked. I was so happy. So the course was awesome. I got to see a lot of friends and stuff like that out there. I loved it.
So what is your favorite thing about running? Like, why do you keep doing it?
I keep doing it because of the people that I've met doing it. It's like the best of both worlds. You get to run, especially out here, these like beautiful, epic, amazing places with some of the nicest people that I've ever met in my life.
The running community is definitely different.
Yeah.
Everybody's really nonchalant and low-key. And
yeah, it's like, oh, just come out.
Yeah. It's
you've never run? Oh, just come with us.
It's anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
And you'll find out later, like, this guy was a professor at Duke, and this guy worked in astrology at NASA, and you're like, what? You're out here running with me? Yeah.
It's kind of awesome because it's like, I feel like it definitely like levels the playing field. Like, it's not superficial. You know, everybody's like in some like ratty t-shirt and pair of shorts.
Completely.
You know, it's like, it doesn't matter where you went to school, like you said, profession, stuff like that. And so everybody just gets together and has a really good time. And then usually like has a beer after, that made it even more fun.
Do we have that here? Where you run and then you go have beers?
Oh yeah.
I know a lot of places on the mainland do that, which is
It's not
awesome.
so much like an organized, like actual like event, but it's definitely like more informal groups will do it, which is great. And everybody's pretty welcoming, so it's kind of like, I don't know, one person, like if you were like to come out with me, it's like we would just drag you around wherever we went, so.
Awesome. And then, okay, so you said you got a book.
Yeah.
And you started
It was the
training.
What was it? The Complete Guide to Marathoning for Women, or something like terribly cheesy.
You just decided one day you were going to start running?
Yeah. Well, the marathon's huge in Boston, and so I would go in and watch them finish. And it was just this like really epic event to watch people do it. And so I decided, you know, that I wanted to see if I was able to do it. And then growing up, my dad's a fireman.
Okay.
And so to stay in shape, he would run. We had this like little 4-mile loop by the house. And so he would get up and do that, and I'd like ride the bike behind him.
Aww.
So he wasn't competitive. He wasn't anything
but it was like a daily thing.
Yeah, like he would get up and do it, and so I was like, you know, I'd ride the bike with him initially, and then I got a little bit older, and it was like, then I could run it, and so it's kind of always been a part of my life in some aspect. It wasn't until I moved here, though, that it was like...
Really got kind of more competitive.
Not even competitive, but like the amount, like the places that you can run here are hands down some of the best in the world.
And so that makes it more enjoyable by far.
Yeah, It's like epic. It's like you just want to kind of like see what else is out there type of a thing, like on the island. So it kind of like that's what drove me, especially like with trail running and stuff like that too.
So you did the Hurt 100.
I did.
And what was that like?
Oh my God, it was probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done.
First of all, how did you even decide you wanted to do that? Because that in itself is like a big undertaking.
So, okay, back in 2005, a Fleet Feet opened in Kailua.
I used to go there and buy shoes. We were talking about this one day.
Yeah. Susan Redpath had opened a store, her and her husband, and so I started working there. I had, was like finishing up with school, and this woman came in, older, and by that point I had run probably about 5 or 6 marathons. And so this older woman came in, Cheryl Loomis, in her 60s, and like just started talking to her, and she was just very interesting. She would like talk about these like events that she did, but not in a like, oh, I'm so awesome type of way. It was more of like this, like I was like fascinated, I was like intrigued by this woman. And so she was in the process of planning, I don't remember if she was like 61 or 62, but anyhow, she runs her age on her birthday, right? And at this point, it's like I had just finished the marathon and thought I was like pretty cool. You know, like, ooh, like 5 marathons, like I'm so awesome.
And wait, what marathons have you done? I know
Honolulu, like a little bit of everything, like Honolulu, like handful of times. Almost every year with the exception of like 2007, and then my time in Austin. So the last 4 years I didn't do it.
Okay.
But
you
then,
did
like,
the Boston Marathon.
Did Boston Marathon a couple times.
Awesome.
Yeah. Kauai Marathon. I lucked out and got to do the inaugural, like the first one that they had on the island.
Oh.
Maui Marathon. That was like a big, I won in 2007.
What?
Yeah. Overall.
You won the marathon.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
That is sick.
It was a very like, that's where I qualified for Boston the first time.
She wasn't even going to mention that.
Yeah. No, what happened is like sidetrack. We had gone over with team and training. I had a couple friends that were kind of like heading that or leading that. And so they had brought over a bunch of athletes for that. And so I had registered, right, and went over. And so the joke was like by mile 3, I was in the lead, not really knowing that I was.
You were just
type
like
of a situation.
Like,
Yeah, like I was talking just to some people like while I was running, and yeah, and anyhow, so the joke was like, okay, I'm gonna make it to mile 7 because I knew my friend Alicia was gonna be at that aid station. Because how cool would that be to be in first place and like have your friends see you?
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's
so
true.
I was like, all right, let's make it. The 2 guys I was running with, I was like, you guys gotta help me. Like, let's make it to mile 7, right? And I'll keep this up, and high five all my friends, be like, yeah, I'm in first place, and then expect to like
kind
die.
of fall off at the end.
Yeah. But I never did, and nobody ever caught me. And I ended up, it was like probably like mile 25. They actually didn't have my name in the computer yet. So they were like, how do you spell your last name? And I'm like, this is when I was Doheny, so it was like D-O, like trying to run and,
And
give them
name.
like my information. Yeah, because they were like, they'd like announce over like the loudspeaker at the finish, like, we have somebody coming in, like a 3:05 pace, We don't have her name in the computer, so we don't know who she is. So none of my friends saw me finish, with the exception of the one from team and training, because she was like heading the finishing line. And because I was like, I just want to qualify for Boston, so I had to run like I think at the time it was 3:40. I had to run like a sub 3:40.
Okay, 3:40.
And so it was very unintentional, and so I like walked like the last 2 aid stations because I was like, I'm gonna die because I ran way too fast. And the guy that was on like the bike escort with me, I wish I would remember his name. I don't remember his name. I was like, because I didn't want to turn around because I was like, oh, it's like bad luck or something.
Right.
I was like, is there anybody close to me? And he was like, at this point, you could just walk and finish and be fine and still come in first. So that's what I did until like the turn to the Hilton. So at least like I ran across the finish line.
The last bit, you're like, here I come.
Right, for like the picture.
That's pretty awesome, though.
So I got really lucky. So I finished. It was like 3:18, which is by no means like a competitive like finishing time. Typically like most women are running like, I don't know, 2:40s, like
Is that like a professional time, 2:40s?
Oh, yeah. Olympic qualifying is about 2:46.
Okay.
So, and like...
So 3:18 is pretty good.
Yeah,
I
with
mean,
a little walk
I know
and
time, like, in running,
Yeah.
like, seconds really make a difference,
Yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
that's pretty
That's
good.
what I'm like now. I'm like, man, why did I walk? Like, I wish I just kept, like, even if I shuffled, like, it could have been like a 3:10 or something.
So you really
But
go to show that, like, anybody can just pick up
anybody,
and run.
yeah.
And what is your recovery like? Like, how do you eat? Do you foam roll? Do you stretch? Do you do anything? There's some people that don't do anything.
I am terrible because I don't.
You just live life.
I'm more like a pre-workout type of a person, I guess. And what I mean by that is, for me, the most difficult thing about running out here is staying hydrated. When I first moved here, I would get severely dehydrated every time that I ran. And so that actually makes, I try to like focus on that more so than
anything else.
The other stuff, yeah.
Which is really important.
Yeah. Diet and stuff like that afterwards, like I'm pretty fortunate that I can pretty much eat anything within reason.
Right.
You know, and be okay. Some people have like stomach issues and stuff
And
like
some
that.
people are just
but
very particular, like, I need to have this much of this before this and this much. And especially in bodybuilding, like, I know how that is. It's like,
it gets very specific.
It's a leg day, I get more carbs, and I'm just like, oh my God, just feed me already some days.
I'm like, can I have a cheeseburger now? I'm like pretty hungry. So I think it's important to eat something. Yeah, it's, but actually like what it is, like it could be a piece of pizza, which is terrible, or something like that. I'm not very...
When you're going out and you're running that far, you lose a lot of your glycogen stores, so it's understandable about needing to refuel. And what does like a typical run look like for you? Do you run in the morning? Do you run at night?
I like running in the morning.
Yeah.
I definitely do. I like how early, especially like this time of year, the sun comes up so early. I love that.
And you can avoid the heat.
Yeah. One of my most favorite places to run though is Tantalus. That's
really?
Hands down, yeah. To me, it's like nature's playground.
Yep.
It's like you can run the road, you can run the trails, you could, you know, literally spend days in there, as like crazy as that sounds, but you can. That's like the Hurt 100 course. So it's like, you can just, it never gets old. There's always like, I don't know, a new place to kind of go and explore and that type of stuff. So I love it.
And do you normally like pick how far you're gonna run each day, or you just kind of let your body talk to you? And
more so that.
Yeah.
I kind of, where before, like I was very adamant about having a schedule and like following like a template or a timeline or that type of stuff. I feel pretty lucky that as long as I know what I'm gonna do the night before, I'm good. Like I'll do it. If it's, I can't just like wake up that morning and be like, I'm gonna go run 5 miles.
Right.
It's like I like to at least know before I go to bed that I'm gonna do, or know what I'm gonna do. That's kind of how I look at it, so. But having just moved back, what's great is like I have all my like running friends from, you know, like what, 4 years ago? They're the ones that are calling me now and like, oh, come out and run this and like come do this. Where normally it was like I was the one to kind of like initiate or like instigate, like, you know, drag them out and that type of stuff. So now they're doing it for me, which is great because they're all in way better shape.
You're in high demand.
They're in way better shape than me right now. It's terrible. I really didn't run in Austin.
And why was that?
So we moved there, it was October, and they just finished 100 days of over 100-degree weather. And so...
Because you totally want to run in that.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's not awesome at all. What people also say about Austin or Texas's winter is that it's not cold, and they completely lied because
It is I think it's cold.
It's freezing. So it's typically it could be like 30s in the morning, eventually warming up to about 60. So being a typical morning runner and, you know, working, it was like I would run or attempt to run in the morning. And it was like a sufferfest. It sounds terrible, like I sound like a
No, but it's
like
true. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And even growing up in Boston and like being around that type of cold, it's like I didn't run like that there for so, I wasn't really used to it.
Because it's the breath and your legs freeze up and...
I couldn't warm up.
Go jump in your freezer for a second, see how it feels. Try running in there. We're gonna take a short commercial break. We will be back in a few. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. This is the Empower Hour, and I'm here with Julie Ha, and we'll be back in a few.
Aloha, my name is PJ and I'm the host of Hawaii Sports Update. I am very interested in local sports and that's why I host the Hawaii Sports Update show. I bring in guests from Hawaii, I bring in guests from UH, I bring in guests from the community, I bring in big names, I bring in small names, I bring in all names that are community related and doing positive things, sports related in the community. Come join me every Tuesday at 1 p.m. here on Hawaii Sports Update. You can also join me on my golf tournament, the first annual PJ Sports Radio Show golf tournament. It's going to be held at Coral Creek. For any information, go to ThinkTech Hawaii INC and friend us. The PayPal and a summary of the event will be right there available for you. And don't forget to tweet us.
This is Alice Lee Hagan, host of ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My show here at ThinkTech Hawaii is every Thursday from 3 to 4 in the afternoon. I bring in interesting guests from Hawaii, the mainland, and hopefully international guests in the future. Do join us on Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island. I work in the ER there. But on Tuesday afternoons, I get to come and spend 45 minutes to an hour with Jay Fidel and the ThinkTech staff. They're terrific professionals. They help us to bring some of the leading cutting-edge topics here across our state to you. So you can join us at our show on healthcare in Hawaii to talk with leaders from across all the spectrum of health in our state, or you can join us for any other show where we talk about economic development or tourism or some really eclectic programs too. So really, we'd love to see you here on our show. Thanks for joining us and thanks for supporting us.
Welcome back, guys. This is the Empower Hour. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. I'm here with Julie Ha. It is Friday. I hope everybody's having a good one. We're in here talking about running and just empowering each other to get out there and run. Julie's talking about her girlfriend who just signed up for the Hurt 100. You were saying she just had twins and she's in her 40s.
She just had twins, yep. They're about, by just having twins, like they're about almost 2, so still pretty young, right? She has 3 kids.
Twins take a lot of time and energy.
Yeah, and it was unexpected too, so.
Do you want to explain what the Hurt 100 is, just so people know?
Yeah, it is here in Honolulu. It is a it's 5 20-mile loops of Tantalus Trail. And by loops, I mean people automatically assume that it's like a complete, like a circle, but it's not that clean. You basically have to, you have an inner circle of 10 miles with 4 legs that bring you to 3 aid stations. So,
and when you say 4 legs, what do you mean by 4 legs?
By 4 legs, I mean you start at an aid station, run up a particular part of the trail, pick up part of the circle, and then run down, like away from that circle to another aid station to where you can fuel, and then you actually have to double back the same way that you came down and continue part of that circle, right? Double back down again. So the reason why it's 4 is that there's actually, you go up from Nature Center, which is the start. You go up Hogs Back, which is the trail. You actually go up one way and come down another.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then for the other 2, it's like double backs to get to the aid stations. So not only do you have to run 100 miles, but you also have to navigate
where you're going. I would definitely
and people get lost, and people go the wrong way.
And then you're wasting energy.
You're wasting
time.
energy. There's a 36-hour time limit, which most 100-milers have about 24 hours to do. This one, because of the
terrain
difficulty, it's about 25,000 feet of climbing and descending. They give you some extra time, which is nice of them, because it's pretty hard. So the least they could do is give you a few more hours to finish.
Right? A few seconds to just sit there for a second and be like, okay.
So what's kind of cool with it too is HURT is, what it means is Hawaii Ultra Running Team.
Oh, okay.
And this group of people, specifically that woman, Cheryl Loomis, PJ and John Samuelson, that's a husband and wife.
Can you repeat what the Hurt 100 means one more time?
Oh yeah, it means Hawaii Ultra Running Team.
Hawaii Ultra Running Team, got it.
Very innocent. So anyhow, they decided they wanted to make an event that was one of the hardest in the world. And they definitely succeeded. So
I don't understand how people just get together one day and
that's
go,
what they do. It was amazing. I mean,
I'm gonna
I
make
have such
something.
respect.
I just want to see if people can do it.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing. And I mean, they were participating, you know, aside from like putting on the event and stuff, but like a lot of them were participating up until just a few years ago. So these people are like in their 60s and they're
awesome.
out doing this. Yeah. So that was my, you know, like humbling motivation is that, you know, if they can do it, like, why can't I?
And
You
that's
know?
where, when you were working at Fleet Feet and she came in and was
Yeah,
telling
it was
you, I
like, oh, you
interrupted
have
that
to
story.
come. No, it's like, yeah, she's like, you have to come out and check this out. She's like, I think you'd like this. And I volunteered in an aid station and I was just like, what is happening? I did like I think it was like a 9 p.m. to, you know, like 6 a.m. shift through the night. And it was just like, I was blown away. It was like this little like subculture that
You didn't even
like
know
all of this stuff
existed.
was happening, yeah, and I had no idea. So I was about 25 at the time and was just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Like, I want to be a part of this. Like, how can I be like them? So yeah, it was very, and everybody was very like motivating and supportive. At no point did anybody say like, oh, this is a terrible idea. My family did. My family was like, are you all right? Like, is everything okay? Are you crazy? Like, what's happening? But the group, it was like, okay, make sure you have lights, make sure you have batteries, make sure you have like gear and nutrition. And so for every long run, they just kind of like ran you through this checklist, but not like you have to do this or have to do that. It was just like
Right,
very supportive.
suggestions.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So then from there, you were just like, okay, I'm gonna do it the next year.
Yeah. Well, no. It actually took, I kind of jokingly was like, I want to be a part of this, but I'm terrified to run it.
Right.
It took until 2011. It took 6 years
Oh,
for
man.
me to do it. So I would, the first year I volunteered in an aid station, and then from there on, I would pace. And so after a certain
And what
point.
does a pacer do?
The pacer basically just guides and helps their particular runner or a
Okay.
group of runners. Sometimes people will run together. And it's just making sure that, you know, they're eating, that they're awake, that they're, you know, not getting severely dehydrated because it's pretty isolated in some of the areas so that if something does go wrong, it's like I'm able, like as a pacer, you're able to, you know, get help if you need to
Right.
get help. Yeah, it's, I loved it, but I would only do one loop, so 20 miles. And typically it would be like, it could take anywhere from like 5 hours to 8, 9 hours, right? And so every year I would just do one loop. And then 2010, a very good friend of mine, Gary Marr, in his 50s, he had asked me to pace him. And so I did 2 loops. I did the night
That's
loop.
kind of an honor for somebody to
Yeah.
ask you if
Yes.
you'll pace them.
Yeah, well, initially it was funny because I had just agreed to that first, like the night loop, which is when you can start pacing, is when it gets dark.
Which I can see is beneficial because you can't see anything.
Yeah, you can't see. I mean, you
And
have
it's
your
scary
gear
to
of
be there
lights
by
and
yourself.
stuff. But yeah, you've been on your feet by that point for a really long time, and you're pretty depleted. And it's the hardest, even just mentally, to kind of like plug along. Because for some reason, it's just like that mental game night feels like
Time to rest.
Well, exactly, and like you feel like everything just kind of slows down. So yeah, so it was awesome to be out there to be with him, and then he asked me to stay on for that last loop. So it was awesome. So like I got to like run him to the finish.
Oh my gosh.
It was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. So it was at that point that I was like, I'm gonna register and I'm gonna do it. If I can do 40, I was like, I'm gonna do it. If Gary can do it, I can do it.
And so then the next year you entered.
Yeah. The next year I entered, yeah, and it was a very like, it's like my now husband, so he was my boyfriend at the time. He was away actually in Texas working. My roommate dropped me off
Did
at
you know
the
you
start.
were gonna do it?
He did, he knew. I had some family and friends knew. I don't really think that they understood the extent of it. Like, I don't think that they really understood like what I was doing.
And to some degree, you don't even want to tell people because they're gonna
Yeah,
be like, "Are
yeah.
you crazy?"
Yeah, yes. So, I mean, people were like, good luck, supportive in that regard. But I was basically like just with my friends that I know from trail running, but like that was it. Like I was almost just like kind of at the start by myself.
Yeah.
you know, and
Completely,
just,
I know that feeling.
yeah, just like, I mean, it was just very interesting. It was just like, okay,
You're
I'm
there
kind of
with
in my own
people,
world.
but nobody you really know very
Yeah,
well.
it wasn't real, like, like close friends. It wasn't close, it wasn't family. What it was, but, so basically because the people that were pacing me, they were all coming later. So it was like, at the start, it was like, I was on my own. So I was just like, all right, here we go, you know, and we started, and you literally start, like I said, that Hog's Back Trail. It's like your knees hit you in your forehead. It's like you literally go straight up.
didn't touch
You
the
can't,
ground.
honestly, you don't run it because it's pretty much impossible to run. I'd equate it to like Cocoa Head stairs.
Oh man.
And that's how you start, and you have to do that 5 times. And so,
And how
yeah.
long is that stretch?
That stretch, isn't that terrible? I don't know. We would run it as loops, and it would be about 2.5 miles. So it's not, if anything, it's probably like a mile.
Okay.
Not long, just very, very steep. And that's how you start the race. It's crazy.
And do you listen to music while you run, or
No.
do you have
At that point,
predictable?
no, like,
You're
it was
just like, let's go.
I was like, I had my stuff kind of like packed and, you know, ready. And it's there's a lot of gear involved because there is only the 3 aid stations. And so you run with like some sort of camelback or something like that, have a lot of nutrition on you. But you're able to have drop bags. And so you set them up so that you can like either have them at Nature Center, which is the start finish and kind of the main hub. So that every kind of checkpoint, every loop, you come back and like, if you need a refuel, you can grab your stuff
Okay.
and kind of, you know.
And change your socks.
Change your socks, do stuff like that, you know. Yeah, so there was a lot of prep involved, but not necessarily like that morning. That morning it was just kind of like almost surreal. Like it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, what am I doing?
That's kind of the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Like when I ran the marathon, that's what I did. I just was like,
Yeah.
signed up the day before. I actually borrowed my friend's dad's number because he didn't do it. I was like, I'm gonna come run.
See,
And then-
I love that.
Yeah, I didn't
And
train
you did
for
it?
it, and I ran I think I ran like a 340, 350.
That's so good.
And I was just like, holla.
Yeah, right? You're
Yeah.
like, I'm kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think
Right?
sometimes too when you train, like I was pacing off this one guy in front of me the
Mm-hmm.
whole time, and like 5 miles in, you could tell his leg was cramping. I
Yeah.
mean, awesome shape, amazing body. I was like, this guy is gonna kill it. I'm
Yeah.
running behind him. He can block the wind. I'll pace off of him.
Yeah.
And then you
Looks
could
don't
tell he
matter.
was gonna like drop.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, you probably trained for months for this, and you're not gonna make it. I felt so bad. I really did.
Don't feel bad.
I
Don't
really
feel bad.
kind of feel bad though, because some people train really hard and then they end up you can overtrain really easily when you're
You
running.
can. You definitely can.
And you were saying looks don't matter. You want to talk about that? Because
Oh yeah, because I always kind of felt like when it came to running, because it was like I was notorious for always having mascara on for like an event, even for like the hurt. Like I put mascara on for the race.
I would,
like
too.
and so they would always just kind of tease me about it and stuff. Because I don't know. At some point, it's like whatever makes you feel good about yourself and gives you
Right.
that confidence. Just do whatever works for you. And so that was something that was kind of like silly that worked for me. And even just being like, I'm not like super thin. I was never, you know, and or even just being like a little bit muscular depending on like the other stuff that I was doing. So I always kind of felt like almost sometimes like I had to like like, oh well, I did that. Like
you were saying
I
like
felt
when
like
you were in
I
Austin, you said, oh, I did
Yes.
this, and they're like, no, you didn't. And I
Yeah,
was
they
like,
would kind of like just not second guess it, but just be like, they're like, really? Like almost like have that like question, and I'm like, yeah, like what do you mean really? You know what I mean? It was kind of, I felt very like defensive about that, I guess.
I felt like I would be defensive too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Or like, it was a very just different, it was a very competitive environment, or at least that's how I found it to be.
Right.
The running community is great out there. People love it. I think coming, it's like anything. It's like once you experience Hawaii and love Hawaii, you don't want to be anywhere else. And so I think my time there was like, I just wanted to come back here and run. And so, which made it a little bit more difficult for me to like make friends and stuff like that.
Did you
too.
find yourself like trying to prove your ability?
No, I actually, what ended up happening is I started cycling more and just doing something different because it wasn't fun. Like, it wasn't fun to run. And that's, you know, that's what I liked about it. And so, or here, I should say, like, that's what it's like, I wanted to run the marathon, but it's always been fun. It's like, if I went fast, like, that's great, but, like, I want to have a good time first.
Right.
All that other stuff was, like, kind of like icing on the cake.
Right.
It's like, if you know, like, I don't know, when your age group or do something like that, you know, it was kind of like, oh,
It's
okay,
just
like,
an
that's kind of
extra
cool.
little
It was like a
thing.
bonus. I just liked being out there. I liked the people that I was with. So it just wasn't.
And that's
fun
what you
for me.
always need to remember is have fun with no matter what you're doing. If you're not having fun, you shouldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to take another short commercial break. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. This is the Empower Hour, and I'm here with Julie Haw. And it's Friday. See you in a few.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. That's Ted Ralston. You know, Ted is the host of Where the Road Leads. It shows every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. It's about technology. It's about how people collaborating and solve problems with modern technology. It's where the road leads. We all know that. We should all be listening. Join us there, 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday. Now, what about that do you agree with?
All of it.
I knew he'd say that. Aloha. Say aloha.
Aloha.
Good.
Aloha, how you doing? I'm Gordo the Tech Czar here on ThinkTech Hawaii, where we co-host Hibachi Talk, where we talk about technology and bring in all kinds of cool guests. Also, my co-host with me today is
Andrew the security guy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching ThinkTech Hawaii, and thanks for watching Hibachi Talk. We also have Angus.
And you there, lad? It's Angus. I bring in all kinds of wee things. Oh, look, you can see my lips moving.
Welcome back to the Empower Hour, guys. I'm learning some top secret things that I can't tell you, but it's pretty interesting. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. I'm here with Julie Haw. We're talking about the Hurt 100, and she just revealed that she came in third place last year and decided not to tell me that either, which is amazing.
Yeah, it was very unexpected. Basically, one statistic that they kind of don't like to tell people registering for Hurt is that the race director and the actual like founders of the course, they only want 25% of participants to finish. So typically,
But that completely makes sense, because if it's too easy year after year, who is going to want to keep running that? Nobody's going to want to come back and run it again.
yeah. So I want to say for that year, 2011, that's when that was the first one I did. I can't remember if there was like 100 and, all I remember is that 31 people finished. There was like out of 100 and say 50 people, I don't remember the exact number, the number that they're able to have on the course, it has to do with the permit that they're able to get. So the number's like very specific, and so whatever that number is, 31 people finished, men and women.
And what is like the pace that you're running? Do you pace yourself?
It's slow. If anything, you go more by like a lap time. So that 20-mile loop, rather than break it down, because it's like, say it's 7 miles from Nature Center to Paradise, I think it's called like Paradise Cove or Paradise Gardens in Manoa. It's about 7 miles, and then the other leg is like another 10. And anyhow, it's easier to just focus on lap.
I need to finish this by this time, and then this by that time.
Because there are cutoffs. Like when you get to a certain point,
That's what I've heard.
there are time cutoffs. For the sake of the volunteers and stuff like that out there, they figure that if you aren't leaving this aid station by this particular time, you're not going to finish in the allotted time. So they will pull people off the course at the end. Typically, most people don't make it to that. They either DNF or they're fine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So most people DNF. Most people don't finish. So what happened in my case in finishing and placing, I had my final pacer, Amy Bennett, or Amy Bennett Eck, I should say. She puts on, I think it's the Xterra events here on Island, and a few other things. I think Freedom Fest is like one of her things too. Anyhow, I've known her for years, and so she paced me that last lap, and she made me run. Like, she straight up, there was a woman ahead of me, a Canadian runner, pretty elite, well known, and she was like, yeah, we're gonna catch her.
It gives me shiver bumps too. It's awesome that you had somebody out there pushing you
Yeah.
to do your best.
Yeah.
Because you won't always find
I
people.
cried.
Yeah, I would.
No, like I was like crying on the course, like please make, like please slow down, like this is terrible.
Well, by then your legs are shot. You're.
Yeah. It's more like the emotion, like you're mentally just like spent. You're just
And
like.
what was that like for you? What were you experiencing? Because I'm
Man.
totally into like the psychology.
I had a
of-
hard time the night loop actually took me twice as long as my first lap. My first lap, like I ran like a crazy person.
Which makes sense. You have adrenaline kicking
Yeah.
in. It's
You feel
it's
great, everything's
new.
awesome. But I ran my fastest hurt loop ever, like even training, even just like as like a, instead of, even as like a, just a regular, just 20-mile run, I ran my fastest in the 100. So it took me about like 4 hours and about 40 minutes, where typically it's like, probably want to run about 6 hours is a pretty healthy number. And so I was about a little over an hour
You hear
faster.
these? I hear this like 6 hours. I'm like, oh, that seems like forever. It seems like a.
No, it's like you want it to be
Slow.
Yeah, slower. You definitely do, because going fast for that type of stuff. It doesn't. You don't
won't
gain.
make it.
Yeah, you don't gain anything out of it. You just actually like, use
Waste
up
all your energy.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty spent. So.
Along with running here, you had a number of jobs. Do you want to talk about the various little jobs?
Yeah,
you
I feel
had?
like I've done everything.
We
Like
only have, let's see, we're done at 45, so we have like less than 10 minutes.
Okay,
but
I'll be quick.
yeah,
I'll do
tell-
like the condensed.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, I think one thing that I think happens out here is that you do. I mean, I was out here by myself. You do kind of have to like do a little bit of everything to
You
kind of
do.
get by, and so. Let me see. I
And
started.
you either have to be okay with that to live out here
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, and so I actually, one of the first jobs that I had out here was at Nike Town, Honolulu, and this is when I was at UH Manoa, and kind of fueled, like it helped, get me involved in the running community. It kind of, like obviously it complemented each other.
Right.
They had their Wednesday night group, so this was in Waikiki.
Right,
It's no
and it's
longer.
closed now.
Yep, it's no
We used
longer
to run
open.
by it in high school all the time. Yep.
So I was there for a number of years and loved it. And then it was funny because then I think at some point I went back, because I was like probably about 2003, so I was about 23. I was with them for a few years, I think until 2005, and then went back home. Actually went back to Boston for a little bit to kind of reassess, do I want to live this far away from home?
Right. Something we all do.
Yeah, worked for a running store while I was in Boston, Marathon Sports, kind of like an equivalent to like a Fleet Feet, that type of
Okay.
stuff. So I did that for a little bit, and then ultimately came back. And then that's when, in 2005, Fleet Feet opened in Kailua, and so I was a part of that opening, and was with them for a number of years, and then did the same thing. Actually went back to Boston one more time when I was about 28. I went back and did like a big cross-country trip.
Cross country.
Rode my bike across the country and stopped kind of in any city or area that I wanted to live. Like just did this kind of like real grand tour
By yourself.
with a friend of mine. Yeah.
You just decided one day you were gonna.
Yeah, because I was like, I had this feeling for some reason like I was missing something. I was like, could Hawaii really be it? Like I loved being here. I loved everybody that was around me. But for some reason I had this like, I've spent so much time here. Am I missing out on something?
Right.
Yeah, and just would, periodically like did like some bike tours in California or like went up to Oregon and stayed up there for a little bit and kind of just like, I don't want to say like gallivanted, but I was young and was able to kind of
Yeah, you weren't
check
tied down.
out.
You could just
Yeah, it was
do
funny
your
because I
thing.
mean, 28, you figure it's like a lot of the people that I grew up with in Boston. By that point, everybody was like married
And
had
having kids.
and that type of stuff, and I was like,
a free spirit riding your bike.
yeah.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And so after it was kind of all said and done, I was like, nope. Yep. I ended up coming back. And then
You worked with
I'm like-
Chet for a little bit. Chet's been
did.
on the show if you've watched my
Chet the Jet.
past shows.
Yeah. So at that point, I was actually doing or teaching bike education.
Okay.
And so we would go to a different school each week and teach their 4th grade classes bike safety. It was awesome. So, and I did that with Chet. And so did that pretty much up until I moved to Austin.
Yeah, so you've really been in the running and cycling community for a
Yeah,
really long time.
always, yeah. And then coached in between. So, well, I shouldn't say in between, but like in between my stints of, you know, moving back to Boston and coming back. I would always coach for Team Jet.
And what's the number one thing you learned as a coach when helping other people reach their goals or make their goals?
That anything's possible. Half of doing anything is wanting to do it. And I think a lot of people have these intentions of like, oh yeah, like that sounds great, or they want to do something because maybe somebody else is doing it.
Right.
And that's not going to get them there. You know, everybody doesn't have to like running. There's something out there for everybody, but if you want, like for me, it was like I wanted to run the marathon, so anything that I could do to do that and be around it, that's what I did. And as from a coaching standpoint, you know, helping people basically, you know, accomplish those goals by kind of supporting them in any way possible, it's awesome to see them finish and then sign up for the next one.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, that's how you know that, you know, you did a good job, that you helped them, you know.
Fulfill their dreams and their goals.
Exactly, yeah, because they want to do it again.
And we're coming to a close. We have 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the number one thing you want to leave our audience with?
I guess it would be...
What's the takeaway of the day?
The takeaway would be, you know, don't sell yourself short. If there's something that you want to do, just go out there and do it. A lot of people don't... how should I say it? It's like a lot of people don't do things in life because they're afraid to start.
And to be alone doing it.
Yeah, or even to fail. It's like it's better to be there and start, and whatever it becomes, it's basically like just do it. Just do it. Don't even worry about it. Don't overthink it. Just do it.
Just sign up.
Yeah.
Sign up for the Hair 100. You were saying there were like 2 days left?
Yeah, there's 2 days for the lottery, so anybody that's interested, yeah, you register at their website.
Where you just go online and sign up?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then it's a lottery, so they just randomly pick your name
They
out?
randomly pick. So yeah, you never know.
Oh my gosh, I may do it, guys. It's in January.
It is.
So we'd have plenty of time to kind of
more than enough time.
Get my distance legs going.
Yeah.
And you just apply, you don't have to, do you have to pay a fee or anything like that?
You do have to pay a fee. I offhand don't currently know what it is right now. In the past, it's about, I don't know, $175.
Okay.
Still very reasonably priced. Excuse me, considering
all the
some
aid
events.
And
yeah, the amount of time that actually goes into it. And it's like for all the others, like other events in the area and stuff like that, I feel like it's gotten a little expensive. So it's still very modestly priced for what it is. So the spread's awesome, like food for days.
You should get that for running that far.
Yeah, like run with like a cheeseburger. I'm just kidding.
Well, you heard it from Julie Ha. She makes everybody laugh. We're so glad you're back on the island, and I'm so glad that I've gotten to meet you and learn more about you. And with that, we're coming to a close, guys. It's Friday. Get out there and do something fun, or sleep if you've had a busy week like us. This is the Empower Hour. I'm your host, Maile Scarpino. I was here with Julie Ha today, and we'll see you next time.